Wow, the power of music, what young minds can do, and the power of yes. Would you say yes with me?
Yes.
Thank you, and thank you. So creativity, I was trying to figure out what is that we need to know more, and I became curious and started looking around what already exists. 15,000 plus books on the topic of creativity. Roughly about 264,000 videos on YouTube on the topic. And nearly 53 million data points on Google. And we are here talking about creativity. Why? As somebody has said, people need not to be told, but reminded. And we all need to be reminded. And that's one of the reasons why creativity matters and why we are talking today. 79% of Fortune 500 companies responded in a recent survey conducted by Steelcase and Cornet, and they said innovation and creativity is very important to them and their organization. In order to become innovative, you need to have good ideas. And in order to have good ideas, we need to have lots of ideas. So how do you have lots of ideas? How do you become more creative? Before we get there, I want to talk to you about some experiments we're doing. I call it creativity experiments. And I want to tell you about 3 things about creativity today. It's not that you don't know, but it's good to revise. Number 1, creativity is simple yet complex. 2, creativity is counterintuitive. And number 3, it can be inspired. And in inspiring creativity, place, the space, the environment, and the play can play a huge role. The way I say it is place and place for play. That inspires creativity tremendously. Over the years and over the centuries, we have made tremendous amount of progress in all fields. We have advanced technologies, we have advanced science, advanced medicine. Now we know human physiology much better than what we knew before. As a result, we live longer, much longer than ever before. The real question is, are we happier? Technology and communication science has taken us far ahead. So we have more sophisticated technologies, and we deploy them in order to be more secured. The real question is, are you secured? The question we should be asking ourselves is, how could we be more secure? Or rather, even higher level question, what does security mean now? Today we have more tools and more opportunities to connect with people, 7 billion of us, at the tip of finger. The real question we should be asking is, are we really connected? A higher level question, how can we be truly connected in a meaningful way? Creativity is not only about coming up with ideas, it's about challenging our own ideas and asking right questions. In order of asking right questions, we at Steelcase challenge ourselves. We have a methodology called Think methodology. Basically, what we find in many companies, people think little and get to doing the work. Complex problems require a lot of thinking and a lot of doing, but not in isolation, together. Complex problem solving or innovation, in other words, requires higher level of creativity and a deeper level of engagement. But we often get engaged into doing stuff more quickly than we should be. We become something called fly on the wall, or in this case, it's a fly on a window pane. We all have seen this. We have all experienced this. The fly, which is want to get to the other side, it clearly sees it where it wants to go. And the only way it knows is work hard, harder, even harder. to an extent the fly ceases to exist in its effort to get where it wants to go. We all are like fly most of the time. If fly could only step back a little bit, turn in the opposite direction to find there is a wide door open, not only fly could get where it wants to go in the shortest possible time with least amount of efforts and much more elegance. Creativity is counterintuitive. We all know that kids are highly creative, or they could be highly creative compared to adults. These are not my kids though. I have my own twin boys, 10 years old, and they teach me lesson every single day. So why kids are more creative than adults? They are playful. They are fearless. They experiment all the time. They believe, and many more reasons. A few days ago, I was sitting at the dining table trying to inspire my own kids, 10-year-old, 5th graders. And inspiring them, I was telling them the stories about great leaders. I said, great leaders have great vision, and that vision and leadership is so inspiring that people, lots of people, want to work for you. Before I could even finish my analogy and example, my older one, older by 11 minutes, he asked me a question. Dad, do you have a lot of people working for you? That tells the point. My other one, the younger one, is extremely passionate about game of football. Every now and then he wants me to throw football at him. Recently he realized that as soon as I come back from work, I get busy with my chores and my activities, even though I promise him, yes, I will play with him. Just 2 days ago, when I got out of my car and locked my car to come out, he said, Dad, here. Before I could even understand, ball was just flying towards me. I had no choice but catch. And when I caught the ball and I looked at the same place where he was before, I realized that he was 10, 15 feet away and saying, come on, Dad. They believe, they're persistent, and they're very positive. Even though he knew that I may say no, but he wanted to believe that I would. And there are many other reasons kids become more creative than adults. One of the things, you've seen a lot of videos on TED or TED.com. One of the videos where the relationship between creativity and play has been described by Tim Brown from IDEO. It's one of his TED Talks, and he beautifully described the relationship between play and creativity. So in our experimentation, I wanted to observe what about kids and what about the play that makes it so unique. So we started our observations and we started doing some experiments around that. So I want to show some of those. What did you notice differently here? What did you hear? Laughter. What did you see? Smiles and dance. They were not sitting in one place and playing the game. They were dancing. That kind of play which allows you to laugh, play which allows you to connect with others, and play where you can see, dance. That play, even if it means for 3 minutes or 5 minutes, has a tremendous relationship with the creative output. What we also notice is that the relationship between the space, the place where you are doing the creative activity, and importantly, change of place. So if you change the environment where a creative activity is happening from time to time, the creative output increases tremendously. So we said with our experiments, we employed kids from all the way from 4-year-old to people at workplace from 60 plus. And we gave them creative tasks, and before them, we asked them to play. So we had these two groups of people who got an opportunity to play, an opportunity to change place in the creative activity if it was longer, or get to a different place, different environment to immerse themselves into the creative activity, change affects our thinking process. And then there was another group which did not get any of those opportunities compared to the other group which had an opportunity to play. And so, what we found very interestingly is when you compare the results, the left side group and the right side group, and this is a kids example, even though we experimented with other groups as well. What we found, not only the number of ideas increased after play and a change of place, but the quality of ideas. One example, and I will talk about that later, circular was the context which was given to them. The task was write down and draw things which are circular. Speech is circular, coming from a 5th grader in 3 minutes or less. I thought that was amazing. The similar experiment when we did it at innovation training programs with people, executives and stuff like that, it took them 12 to 13 minutes to come up with circular conversation as an example of circle. That was amazing. So, we took this thinking to corporate world and we started talking to executives and people at work. And I got 3 different kinds of reaction. First one, disbelief that this works. Second, I don't have the time to play. And third one, I don't think we have too many environments to change. What is astonishing is, like when over the conversations I found out, when I asked them the question, when was the last time you really played like a child? Many of them didn't even know. When was it last time? Was it 2 years ago, 5 years ago, 15 minutes ago? Some said very clearly, as far as I remember, several years ago. That's a tragedy in many ways. So, fast forward, we conducted experiments at workplace, and what people found is astonishingly, it doesn't have to have too much of time. You don't require too much of time to play. 3 to 5 minutes is great. You don't require a huge amount of environments in the company to go from one to the other one. You just need a different environment. So, let's look at some of the things that we found.
Imogen, what?
Maybe you should.
No, maybe.
I got in trouble for throwing balls in my house.
The second group didn't have the time and space to do this. So we ended up asking them to make a change. These were executives, and they were laughing. They couldn't believe their own eyes, but they did it in 5 minutes or less. And the environment that we changed, asked them to do the creative activity, the results were consistent, very consistent. I'm not going to say 100%. There were some experiments we realized that it didn't work out very well for whatever reasons. But what we found is that not only the ideas, in terms of number of ideas, increased, but what we asked them to do after they had created ideas is go and find out which one among those ideas are really cooler ideas according to you, not according to somebody else. And the number of ideas as well as number of cooler ideas increased tremendously. During these conversations, during these experiments, we had a lot of conversations from young all the way to not so young, from not so smart to really smart people. And we asked them this question, so tell me about yourself. Interestingly, when I asked this question to younger people, they talked about what they're passionate about, what they want to. I want to become a neuroscientist. Why? I want to see how my brain works. Really? All the way to, I love Basco sticks. Wow, that's great. But when you ask the same question to the workplace people, typically they talked about their names, their titles, their profession, and what do they do for a living. Again, the question was, tell me about yourself, right? I know today you are here not only for learning from these sessions, but get inspired, and most importantly, to connect in a meaningful and thoughtful way with others. So I did that experiment with kids and again with adults, and I asked them, tell me about yourself, but don't tell me this time. draw who you are. Could you draw who you are for me? And what we found out that people started drawing. Some people said that I have a big heart and I want to really touch people. That's what I am. Not necessarily I'm a director for a large company, which is Fortune 51 company. Doesn't it really that matter? Some people said that my life is like a canvas, and I want to keep painting every day with people, with nature, and with the environment. Some said life is for me and it's a reflection of journey, and I need to create a map where I can go to different places and experience different experiences. For some others, life was about enlarging the sphere of influence, personally, professionally, and socially. So today I'm going to ask you to do a small experiment with me. I'm not going to take more than 35 seconds, but let's do it. How many are you ready for that?
Yes.
Awesome. All right. So in your pocket, there's a business card. I'm sure you got it to connect in a meaningful way. Interesting enough, corporate America allows you to paint the picture on the backside, which is blank most often. So if you don't have a blank card, TEDx has given you a Post-it note, pad of Post-it notes. Pick up the blank side of the Post-it note. And before you start doodling anything, I want you to pause and for 10 seconds, think about who you truly are. Beyond your name, beyond your profession, beyond your company, beyond what you do for a living, think for a minute or 10 seconds to be precise, who you are truly. What inspires you? All right. Now you get 30 seconds to do who you are truly. Draw who you are. It doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be great. It just have to be you. And it's just a beginning. You can keep adding to it later on. But just now, just doodle. 10 seconds left. And you can continue. This, my dear friends, will allow you to connect in a meaningful way. So next time when you give the card to somebody, don't just tell the story of one side, tell the story of the other side of the moon, if you would. And two things before we leave. Don't forget the power of play and power of change in place when you are in a creative activity. Thank you.